Yay! We did it.
Hello everyone, patch 1.1.7, the Imperial Uprising patch with the mid-cycle ladder reset started last Thursday, September 19th. This time around we decided to play Poison Stygian Lich in SSF Hardcore. The event for the patch brought some loot goblin lizards, which gives some nice material shard idol drops. It was quite useful early on, but at later levels it doesn't seem to drop much worthwhile, at least not for me so far. And it creates quite a bit of screen clutter with all the shards especially. At this point it would be nice if the shards became auto pickup and or auto stash to reduce the clutter. The new shrine effects are mostly good for leveling throughout the campaign, but most of the effects I feel are pretty useless endgame, with the exception of like maybe 2 or 3 shrines, which gives a nice stat boost. Lastly, the event brings additional elite mob packs that add some more difficulty and density into the monoliths. Unfortunately, it comes with performance issues like FPS drops, so for hardcore gamers out there, it can be pretty rippy due to this combination. The loot lizards and shrines will be permanent addition to the game, but the elite mobs will be gone after the month event ends. We were able to get level 100 and kill Abberoth last night, which was day 3.5 with this build. We changed out Rip Blood and went with Hungering Souls instead, as I felt Hungering Souls has a better gameplay feel overall compared to Rip Blood, and the overall damage is pretty much the same, if not a little better, without having to spam Drain Life and Rip Blood at the same time. I'll go into details later in this video. I left the Abbey fight at the end of the video if you're interested in checking it out. And with that, let's get into the build. We're going to go over the passive tree. It's pretty much similar to what I posted in the past in the previous video for 1.1. There's going to be a little difference between softcore and hardcore, which I'll go over in a little bit, okay? So the base tree is going to be the same, int, armor, and vitality. So you can choose to not go armor and take the 8 points into increased damage, but I feel like the 8 points in armor is, the value for that is a lot better than the increased damage. Then we're gonna rush, same as before, poison overload, 5 points into damage over time, 5 points into int, 5 points while tied for the poison overload. It'll make for a much smoother leveling experience. Okay? We're not gonna get this ransom concoction yet because you want to level up Lich, the Lich tree, so that you can get Death Seal by the time you're almost done with the campaign. Okay? This is pretty much the same, but the order is you max out int, and then poison damage duration, more int. You're gonna put some points into 3 plagues and contagion engine until you're able to get elixir of death. But ultimately you want to max out soul maw first. So whatever order you're doing doesn't really matter, but soul maw is what you want to rush for first when you're leveling, okay? Because that's going to help you sustain within Reaper form. So the main difference between softcore and hardcore is this 10 points here for the poison chance and the increased poison damage taken. I don't recommend this node for hardcore just because of, well, obvious reasons. The increased poison damage taken is a multiplier, and especially during this event, there's those elite packs that have like the poison traps, and they lay like, you know, a gazillion traps on the ground. Yeah, it's gonna hurt if you're taking this node, and especially in hardcore, you probably don't want to risk this just for, you know, the extra damage. But for softcore, you know, just do it. You know, who cares? The difference in damage is quite substantial actually. So we're doing testing on the dummy. We're getting about roughly 2.2 mil ticks in my current gear. But without these 10 points, we're getting about like a maximum of 1.2 to 1.3 mil ticks. So it's quite substantial. But again, risk versus reward, right? In hardcore, I would recommend not taking these 10 points and then putting it into Warlock instead, and putting the 5 points into Harrowing Armor for increased armor health, and a little bit of more armor, just, you know, from the 5 points bonus. Okay. and then after you're done with getting soul maw, then you fill in the blanks. One point I want to make: the rancid concoction is something you're gonna want to get once you're done with, well, once you get your soul maw, and then you're working your way back to filling out the points that you're missing out of this tree. But you do want to get rancid concoction because it's gonna help your clear quite a bit. It's hard to show on the dummies, but like you'll notice it when you actually try this out. And then you when you're in monoliths, you're gonna engage the pack of mobs, do your rotation, and then once you engage and you're next to them, you potion. And then you can notice the mobs die fairly quickly. So think of it as an extra skill when you potion. Okay, this is pretty good to use to put points in for clear, right? That's it for passives. For skills, we changed it up from my previous video that I posted for the Stygian Lich, or Poison Stygian Lich. For 1.1, we're no longer running Rip Blood. Instead, we're doing Hungering Souls. I did some testing for it. Overall, like spamming additional drain life via just doing Rip Blood, spamming Rip Blood and then putting the drain life down, versus having Hungering Souls and casting drain life every 4 to 5 seconds. The quality of life is better doing it this way. So you're just spamming drain life, or sorry, you're just spamming Hungering Souls while you're putting just one drain life down every 4 to 5 seconds. So, Hungering Souls also provides, like, besides this 40% more damage over time damage to possessed enemies. Enemies are possessed every time they get hit by Hungering Souls, but it's for a very short duration, which is only 1.5 seconds. So you're basically having to, in order to take advantage of the additional damage on the mob, you have to actually just like always be hitting it, right, with the Hungering Souls. So, and because like the drain life pulse is passive, like you just drop down drain life and you're just spamming Hungering Souls, you're always taking advantage of that 40% more damage. Okay. Besides that, this also has the kill threshold 15%. You want to do the minus mana cost so that it becomes free and spammable, right? And then cast speed and the speed and range. So it has utility, it has more damage. So it's pretty, like, it's better overall than Rip Blood, because Rip Blood only gives you mana back. And then the additional to spam additional drain lives, which overall I don't think is worth it in terms of like gameplay. So I value the gameplay a little more than a little bit of damage, more damage you're doing by spamming more drain lives. But it's up to you. Like, you play either version, but I found this to be more enjoyable. We also tested Spirit Plague instead of drain life. But Spirit Plague, the damage, like, you're losing so much damage. Like, the 40% more damage is substantial. So like the Spirit Plague is more of utility. It has a nice fear for 2 seconds. Frailty for free, slow for free, and then like the minuscule amount of increased global over time damage and poison damage. I mean, I wouldn't call it minuscule. It's probably like 100% increased damage versus 40% more damage. But I feel like doing the testing, like the Hungering Souls version beats out Spirit Plague by quite a bit. So, but for arenas, it depends on what you're gonna do. Right, bossing, this is definitely better. Hungering Souls is definitely better, but if you're doing arenas, there's like Spirit Plague is pretty good for utility reasons, especially the fear, or the fear on demand, right? But yeah, for Spirit Plague, for Hungering Souls, this is the tree. The main thing here is, again, the 40% more damage you get right away, and then you're gonna go for the mana cost and then the kill threshold. After that, you're gonna go for the speed and duration and fill these other ones out. Okay. Reform is pretty much the same as before, with the additional poison chance, poison duration, and then the reap cooldown. Because again, our main ability for this particular build, we're not doing transplant, so we're just doing reap. and then armor and the poison res, necrotic res per point intelligence. Death Steal doesn't change, the same as before. Just the main thing is obviously the deadlock, the global poison chance when you're Death Stealed, right? And then you pretty much have haste uptime all the time, because Death Steal lasts for like a total of, I believe, 8 seconds with the 3 seconds here, or the 3 points here. So the cooldown on Death Steal is 5 seconds, so you're pretty much always gonna have haste up, unless you like accidentally double tap Death Steal and you know, you get haste for like a split second or something. For Drain Life, we're going to do, okay, so leveling wise, if you get Stygian early on, I was actually able to run this fairly early. I was surprised I was able to actually maintain the mana cost, even though I didn't have that much mana or mana regen. So you can go ahead like and just go with the Dark Shackles like early on, and then go for the increased damage. Like I would probably go with the Eternal Servitude, because that way you can actually maintain the mana a little. Like mana management will be a lot, like it feels a lot better. Because with Wandering Spirits you get the mana back. So this is the otherwise the Drain Life tree is pretty much the same. Right now Unholy Mass is still not working for the poison version, so we're not going to take this. And if you have increased points, like depending on how you gear, you can get increased points, additional points, in which case you don't have to go this. Wait, why do I have a point here? Okay, well this point was not needed. I'm not sure why I put this, but you can go the route with 4 points here into damage instead of these 2 points here. The reason why we're going to these 2 points here is because you won't have enough points to get to this node without these two. And then this doesn't really do anything for the lasers, but it changes this. It gives the skill poison tag, and then that way you can take advantage of +1 poison spells here from the ring. So if you don't, yeah, I mean this is not a necessary node, but this 40% damage is more damage is pretty big. So you want to get this eventually. But for leveling, you probably want to get Eternal Servitude and after you get Dark Shackles. Okay. We did Reperform, the Death Steal, and lastly the Wandering Spirits. Wandering Spirits, you want to get Spectral Putrescence first, as same as before, and then I would go with Reveal Rate, and then Poison Chance, and then go up here to get the Infusing Souls. After that, you're gonna fill out the rest of the frequency, the Reveal Rate, sorry, and then go for the increased more damage to curse and damned enemies. The enemies are always going to be cursed and always going to be damned. You're going to get the curse from Mark for Death chance here from Reaper form, and then the damn chance is always going to be it's pretty much always going to happen on mobs because of Drain Life. Okay, so that pretty much covers it for the skills. I didn't cover it individually, but I mean it's pretty much the same. A lot of it is the same, especially the Reaper form and Death Seal. So you can refer to my previous videos for explanations for that. But yeah, this gameplay is pretty smooth right now. With the mana is not an issue with these 2 points. So like you could pretty much just always have, you can just reap and then drain life, reap and then drain life, and then your mana will always be pretty much always be topped off. So you don't even have to recast Wandering Spirits, you just reap and drain life, reap and drain life. Okay, that's pretty much the gameplay. Alright, we're gonna go over the gear real quick. This is after, this is the SSF hardcore character. We were able to get 100 yesterday. This is 3 days of gameplay and gear, okay? I'll post a link for the build planner for what I would like to have, but this is what I currently have. Okay, so We're not gonna go with wrong warp because we're not doing transplant in this build this time around. So instead, I would like to have a tier 7 mana forged ornate wand, because the ornate wand has implicit for poison on spell hit, and the lasers are spell hits. So it's a nice boost in damage. You will want a tier 7 preferably of the mana forge prefix. That's for the mana, the plus mana and the mana regen. And then the second prefix is damage over time. And chill and slow for the suffixes. You can do a poison penetration suffix as well instead of the slow. That's kind of up to you. I mean, it also depends on your RNG, alright? So, Decayed Skull, I mean, the only reason I'm using it is because I got a 3 LP and it's nice mitigation for damage over time. So, if you have a 3 LP, you know, you can slam it as well. Otherwise, you'll use I would be using a Revenant Helm, which has nice implicits and helps with capping out your reduced damage taken from crits. Obviously Stygian Coal. If for any reason you're lucky and you get Orions, you want to get a 1 LP Orions. It's probably the best for this particular build, so that you can just use, like, take the blessing from the you can take the instead of the void res blessing, you can get the HP blessing, since Orions will just totally, you know, you won't take any damage from void. Void gets converted, all void damage gets converted to fire, and then there's also a damage mitigation from fire on that, so it's really good. Otherwise, I'll probably use a Oracle Amulet instead of a Bone Amulet. That's alternative. And then the prefixes and suffixes. The prefixes, you're always going to want to try to get mana. That's your main source of damage scaling. So you want to get mana on the amulet and then fill in the blanks for suffixes, because you're going to need to fill out. You're going to have to play the resistance Tetris with all your gear, okay? The Aberrant Seer is a nice ring overall. It's easy to get LP on. And Grimoire has always been my go-to relic, and it's easy to get. It's also easy to get LP on, right? And obviously for the damage mitigation for 3 types of damage, that's why I like it so much. On potion use, because it synergizes well with the Elixir of Death, and you're going to be also potioning for the Rancid Concoction anyways, so you're going to have, you know, your uptime on the damage reduction on from the Grimoire and from the potion from the Elixir of Death are your main, like, sources of damage reduction for a Lich. I mean, this is pretty much the only node that you have on this entire tree for any mitigation. Hopefully 1.2 will have some changes to the Lich passive tree, and then hopefully we'll get our 5th skill. Yeah, because we're the only class without a 5th skill. So anyway, and we're gonna end this video with the Abberoth kill. Mistake was made right here, where you know, you were not supposed to be standing in the dot damage area, but luckily we were able to outleach the damage I was doing. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. If you haven't already done so, like and subscribe, and for more Lich content. Again, hopefully we'll get some nice content, Lich updates 1.2 at the beginning of next year. Anyways, take care, and I'll see you next time.